Hello there folks, I'm Cartoon Karma. Having done 2 Pokemon challenges already, they're not really novel for me anymore, at least not if I stick to Gen 2, so I'm gonna give another generation a try. You've already read the title. Today's one we're gonna find out what are the minimum number of battles to beat Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire with no items in battle. I'm not gonna mince words folks, this will be a tough one. Enemy AI got a major bump in the shift to the Game Boy Advance, and Hoenn is the polar opposite to Johto's skewed level progression. A wider screen and resolution means much wider spaces in most places, so many trainers can be sidestepped that couldn't be on a Game Boy screen. Facing less trainers will make us a weaker level. With all that, clearing the game only battling that which is necessary will prove a struggle. But honestly, after the Gen 2 runs were mostly quite easy, I welcome a challenge. Let's just hope it's difficult for the right reasons. The ground rules are the same. We only battle trainers necessary to progress, and run from all wild battles unless it has to be beat or caught to move on. No items in battle, only held items and items outside of combat are okay, and glitches and exploits are a no-go. The script is being written as I go through the challenge, it's more fun that way. As a side note, I'm doing this run on Sapphire, even though I prefer Ruby, as Sapphire is more difficult in some battles against the bad teams. The only difference between Team Aqua and Magma is in one Pokemon line, so unless I say otherwise, everything that applies to Aqua battles applies to Magma battles too. With that caveat out of the way, let's journey to Hoenn! As always, our starter matters, and it probably comes as no surprise that we choose Mudkip. We need it for the water HMs without catching something else for the job, but on top of that, the Swampert line will have far and away the best type coverage, Trico's limited move pool wouldn't last long, and Torchic wouldn't even have a hope against the first gym's rock types. However, it's not as simple as choosing Mudkip and calling it a day. Ruby and Sapphire overhauled the DV system into IVs, ranging from 0 to 31 in each stat. They also introduced natures, with every Pokemon getting 1 of 25 when the game generates it. Each nature gives a 10% decrease to one stat, and a 10% increase to another. This makes each Pokemon more unique, but it also makes it easier to have a suboptimal Pokemon. What we did was check Mudkip's nature and stats, and run them off an IV calculator. Of course, at level 5, the IV range for each stat's number is very big. Basically, I kept resetting until I got a Mudkip with an ideal nature and reasonable IVs. All this resetting is why I named Mudkip Spike. It was among the shorter appropriate cartoon tributes I could think of. Which cartoon Spike? I'll let you decide. Then I realised I could just check Mudkip's stats in the Poochyena battle and reset quicker. Playing is learning, as they say. Even here, the game subverted my expectations. I wanted a nature that boosts attack and reduces defense or special defense, as Spike needs both attacking stats and to be as fast as possible, so reducing special attack or speed wasn't desirable. Many tries in, I got an adamant nature, boosting attack but lowering special attack. I was going to reset, but I noticed Spike's IVs were among the best thus far, so I battled the first few mandatory battles, leveling up a bit, and the more I did, the higher my IV range rose in the calculator. Its special attack IV was even almost perfect. With that, I decided it was worth keeping this Mudkip. Is all of this necessary for the run? No, but it makes it smoother in specific places. With that scientific prologue out of the way, next is our rival's Trico. As it lacks any grass type moves, leading with Growl before spamming Tackle does the job. After a brief trip home for a Pokedex and Pokeballs that are surplus to requirements, as well as running shoes which are most assuredly not, we proceed to Petalburg City, fighting one youngster's Zigzagoon on the way. Following a catching tutorial for poor Wally, we sneak through Route 104 and Petalburg Woods before our first Team Aqua Grunt. His Poochyena is a decently high level, and it likes using Sand Attack to lower our accuracy, so we match it with Mud Slap, which also lowers accuracy on top of damage, giving us the edge and a first try victory. On the way to Rustboro, we pick up a bunch of berries, the Cud HM and the Quick Claw, all of which we'll need. Since all the trainers in Roxanne's gym are skippable, we have us a gym battle already. However, it would have been better if we did have to battle some of those trainers. Mudkip doesn't learn Water Gun until level 10, while Roxanne's starting Geodude is at level 14. Thankfully, there is a strategy. Sadly, it requires a lot of luck. Geodude likes to max defense curl, with the occasional offensive attack thrown in, so we spam Mud Slap to lower its accuracy, bottoming out at 1/3 after 6 of them. Roxanne heals midway through that initial batch. After that, we could keep attacking it until it finally collapses. However, it's best to use Growl here too. Any of Geodude's attacks can take us down to red health, but if we reduce its attack to 1/4, they're only small scratches. After all that setup, we just spam Mud Slap until Roxanne uses both potions and Geodude finally falls. This is why we picked up berries along the way. By giving Spike a Lepa Berry, Mudslap's PP is restored when its mere 10 runs out. We speed tie with Geodude anyway, so Quick Claw's 20% chance to let us go first barely helps, and we need Mudslap. It probably comes as no surprise that this took a while. Plenty of attempts end due to Geodude hitting twice before we've even used Growl, and plenty more midway through that. Eventually, we get past Geodude with it only hitting us twice with weakened attacks, leaving us at half health. Water Gun isn't too late to help out, as Nose Pass is next. Leading with 3 Mud Slaps is still best, as it likes to spam hard and much as Geodude did Defense Curl, though not a full Sextet. After a trio of Mud in the face, we're able to use Water Gun to bling it to our Sliver, taking a hit to our Sliver itself, and then finish Nose Pass off first try, letting us the badge. That took a half hour, but honestly, it could have been much worse. This battle is a shining example for all that nature and IV resetting, as differences of even one number matter a lot more at a lower level. Except perhaps the Azalea Town rival fight in Crystal, this battle took longer than anything in the Gen 2 runs. For better or for worse, it's a sign of things to come. Going forward, Hoenn is so nature themed and open-ended that nearly all normal trainers are skippable. Once we beat an Aqua Goon in Rustturf Tunnel, Branny takes us to Dewford. There's no trainers in the Granite Cave side quest, but let's put a pin in the gym. By skipping to Slateport, stopping to pick up a soft sand on the way, we can fight 2 required Aqua Guns holding the museum up first. They both have a Carvanha. In Ruby, the equivalents wield Numel. This is true every time an Aqua member uses Carvanha. Ruby players can beat Numel with Water Gun easy peasy. Sapphire players, not so much with Carvanha. In fact, facing 2 Carvanha sandwiching a Zubat took quite a few tries. We try to hit each Carvanha with 5 Mud Slaps and then finish them with Tackle, hoping they stick to Leer and Focus Energy and miss their damaging moves, especially Bite. Zubat is just a Water Gun Assault, and it pretty much takes half Spike's health through Leech Life and Astonish every time. Supersonic helps only if confusion goes our way. I got to the final Carvanha most times, but took several attempts to get past them all. Ruby players have it easy. Beating them leaves us at a tight fork, but as bad as Brawly is, when the alternative is the most difficult rival fight in any Pokemon game, before evolving, it's Hobson's choice here. Only one trainer in Dewford Gym before the man himself. Brawly is basically Roxanne 2.0. Machop's Karate Chop and Seismic Toss each do 40% of Spike's health. Unlike Geodude, it mostly sticks to damaging moves. The Bulk Up and Near unfavourable either. Max Mud Slaps followed by Water Gun is all we can do. Growl is a waste with its Bulk Up, and Seismic Toss doing fixed damage. The amount of luck required to burn through 2 Super Potions here is unreal. A lucky critical hit can take Machop out without burning through them, but that's a rare dice roll, as is getting past Makuhita safely in the same battle. After well over an hour, much longer than Roxanne, we got this run where the damage rolls and a Mud Slap crit meant Machop never landed at red health, and we got past it without Brawly healing. It still chopped us to barely over half our health, even after using our held Oran Berry. For Makuhita, we got off 4 Mud Slaps without getting hurt and knocked it down to red, taking knockoff and 2 Arm Thrust hits to a mere 2 HP. Any more would have done us in. We had Makuhita, only for Brawly to heal, but due to Makuhita's horrible special defense, 2 Water Guns knocked it back to just above red health as we missed its knockoff. Finally, Spike squirted Makuhita one last time for a high damage roll, bypassing the healing rage and netting us our second badge and an overdue evolution into Marshtomp. About time, the stat boosts are much needed. With that, out of the fighting frying pan, into the Grovyle fire. Oddly, which gender your rival is dictates which Pokemon they start with, despite identical teams. Because we started as May, Brendan leads with Numel rather than Wailmer, which falls to a single Mud Shot. This is why we played as May, as it guarantees we won't have Growl used in us early, a severe handicap we don't need. As for Grovyle, its Absorb takes most of our health in one go, and no, doing this before Spike evolves and gains a ground typing won't help. Lower defenses means Absorb 2-shots us regardless. There is literally no way to win this, except to reduce its accuracy with Mud Slaps that do 1 damage each, and then spam Mud Shot or Rock Tomb for Roxanne's TM, and not get hit after the first time. No other TMs available, not enough money for vitamins to improve our stats, nothing. Since we can't get hit more than once, nearly all attempts end in Grovyle hitting us twice right away. The one good thing about this fight is Brendan doesn't use healing items. Despite all that, this fight took less time than Brawly. On the first attempt where I got 6 Mud Slaps off, only 1.79% of Quick Claw never activates, Grovyle doesn't hit the 1 in 3 odds to hit any of the following attacks as Spike buries it under a big pile of rocks. I don't have the words to describe how much my ectoplasm was thumping in my spectral chest as Grovyle missed 4 times in a row. Rock Tomb's speed drop deprives it of 1 attack. Oh, and Rock Tomb only has 80% accuracy. I crunched the numbers. Without crits, the Rock Tomb half has a 10.3% chance of working. Combined with the first half, the odds of beating Grovyle this way are about 0.18%. I'd like to say I earned this after all the time sunk on Brawly, but no, this is still saintly karma. After that, Wailmer is nerve-wracking, but I only used Water Gun twice during my 3 Mud Slaps, missed both times, and afterwards stuck to flailing around on land with Splash while Spike pummeled it with Mud Shots. It knows Rollout and Growl, but Mud Slap makes it very hard to build up rollout damage. Wailmer's not an easy sweep, but with just a little luck, it fell first try we got to it. That fight may have sounded simple, but that's only because the strategy is so luck dependent, with no alternative options. No matter how one plays the game, this fight is a turning point, as the game is structured in a way that favours and encourages power leveling your starter, and then this fight punishes just that. You know, it's almost like the developers sensed how unfair that battle was, because the next stretch is so laughably easy, it's cathartic. Wally's reappearance is good for a laugh, and 2 Grovyle Gym Trainers are nice punching bags. Watson himself is a really tricky gym battle for almost every Pokemon available in the game to this point, with almost no good super effective moves from Magneton. The one exception? Yeah, it's Marshtomp! We just spam Mudshot and call it a day. Even the gym's trap layout forcing us to beat the second trainer and Watson back to back doesn't matter. Magneton only holds on to fire off a Sonic Boom before Watson heals, to no avail as Spike finished its same turn. Morville's centralized position in Hoenn means it's surrounded by routes and trainers, but we don't need to bother with any of them. After grabbing Rock Smash, we proceed north to Full Arbor Town, finding one mandatory trainer. Her Roselia can be a problem, but Mudshot is powerful enough to outmuscle its Mega Drain. If you use a Stun Spore and Marshtomp gets fully paralyzed, well, that's another story. A couple of resets got us by, and neither the ash-covered Route 113 nor the hilly Route 114 have any required trainers, just some tricky spinners. Once we've witnessed Team Aqua stealing a Meteorite and Meteor Falls, we backtrack and scale Mount Chimney. Only a Grunt and Admin Matt have to be faced before Archie, though neither are any threat. Even less so on Ruby, where old Carvanha or Numel and get wasted by Mudshot. Archie though, he may be the most annoying trainer thus far. Yes, even more than rival Grovyle, as all of his Pokemon are formidable threats, making victory a nightmare. Mightyena starts with the Intimidate ability, cutting our attack to 2/3. With nothing to switch to, we're handicapped all battle. Even after holding Soft Sand to boost ground moves and replacing Mudshot with Dig, damage is slow. It got to the point where I started taking gambles on Rock Smash lowering its defense. Since we speed tie, getting lucky with who goes first when Spike digs and comes up can shield us, but that's just more luck. With Mightyena alternating between Sand Attack or Strong Bites, Spike falls here a lot. Add Bites sometimes flinching us and him using Super Potions, and you might say it's a rough start. Even when we get to Golbat, our troubles are far from over. Its Wing Attack and Bite beats Spike every time if it sticks to them. We have to hope it uses Supersonic and misses, or it hits but we never hit ourselves. I found being careful with the attacks at the right moment let us avoid Golbat landing in healing range, taking it out with Rock Tomb quicker. To this point, Sapphire is identical to Ruby, but this is where it changes. On Ruby, one Water Gun will vanquish Camerupt, no problem. On Sapphire, can't be done. And I really mean can't be done. Sharpedo always uses Crunch to knock us out right away. Even with half Spike's health left, Sharpedo is so fast and offensive that it does us in. Not that it matters, even a crit wouldn't one-shot it. Here, I honestly thought the run was over. No matter our health when reaching Sharpedo, there's no outlasting it. After checking the available TMs, I realised there was another option, just one I didn't like. Double Team. It's basically Mud Slap but better, as raising our evasion rather than lowering the enemy's accuracy means we don't have to do it with every new Pokemon. Thus, regrettably, I ditched Water Gun. Not that Double Team is a cakewalk. The setup turns typically leave us damage from Mightyena's bites, with lowered accuracy from Sand Attack, or both. And our reduced accuracy often means Mightyena gets enough hits through. This part of the fight is about as consistent as the first strategy. However, everything changes when we reach Golbat. It turns from a near impossible foe to a quite likely foe. For all the times Mightyena bested Double Team, I never lost to Golbat. Even with our accuracy cut from a few Sand Attacks, Golbat only landed one Wing Attack all battle. But Sand Attack is still a bane, as I burned through lots of Rock Smashes trying to land a defense drop so Rock Tomb will bypass Golbat's healing range. Finally, Golbat fell. Now that we can avoid Sharpedo, we see that it's not as frail as I'd hoped, and we miss most Rock Smashes before landing one that doesn't drop its defense. Sharpedo's Rough Skin ability hurts us slightly whenever we make contact, so I switched to Rock Tomb. Alas, I miscalculated the damage from Dig for the final blow, and he survives and uses a Super Potion. Spike used his last few Rock Tombs to wear Sharpedo down again, and then hurt himself raw while digging it out of the fight. And all that time, Sharpedo never once landed a hit. What even is this run, folks? 19 battles in, and 4 or 5 battles have been so luck reliant it boggles the mind. I knew this would be very difficult, but it smashed even those expectations. Don't get me wrong, overcoming tough opponents is satisfying. It would just be nice if there were ways other than abusing accuracy or evasion. But given enemy AI got competent in this gen, there's no relying on enemies picking the wrong moves. Grovyle sticking to Absorb, Sharpedo to Crunch, and Mightyena never using Howl or Tackle proves that. Going forward, we'll use Double Team only as a last resort, for the morality if nothing else. Following that struggle, we pick up an egg in Larvidge Town. The game thinks it's funny, giving us a fodder Pokemon right after really needing it to reset Intimidate. Flannery's Gym is another where every trainer is skippable, and thanks to the type advantage, there's 9 to Flannery, with both Slugmas being one-shots. Torkoal does hit hard though, so I make sure to use Rock Tomb to avoid landing it in healing range. Before fighting our dad Norman, we enter the desert to grab our first rare candy and spot of hair fossils. We take the claw fossil, and I'm not just telling you that because you'd ask if I didn't. Though ask anyway, comments help the YouTube algorithm after all, shout out to my dry bread. No, we revive this thing into an Anorith in Rustboro City, giving us another fodder Pokemon and something to use Rock Smash and Cut, which amazingly isn't required in Hoenn, though it will give us access to some handy items. Back in Petalburg, there's several paths through the gym, but no matter what, we face 3 trainers with a Delcatty, a Linoon and a Zangoose respectively, so the experience and EVs can't vary. Some of these can be tough, but playing smart, from switching to Reset Infatuation, to grabbing Rock Smash defense drops early, sorts them out. We hatched the egg into a Wynaut before tackling Norman, where my initial strategy did and didn't work. Slacking his base stats comparable to Groudon or Kyogre, but skips every other turn due to its ability, Truant. Because of this, if we have Wynaut faint to the first blow, we can dig on the turn slacking lasers and come up for a hit as it misses. It's so bulky that it takes all 10 digs to grind through a Hyper Potion to beat it, but another equipped Lefaberry restores dig to working order. Alas, though the strategy is foolproof, it runs into a brick wall against Vigoroth. Since it doesn't have Truant, and Norman's AI is smart enough to save a Hyper Potion for it, Vigoroth will outdamage us every time. We still have Double Team though, and gimmicky though it may be, it's easy to set up in Slacking, as Wynaut gives us the first Double Team for free, and Slacking has less chances to hit us as we set up, though it does occasionally use Feint Attack to bypass accuracy. This doesn't always work, but it usually does. Once our evasion is maxed, we still use the dig timing strategy to guarantee we're not hit. Back on Vigoroth, we just wear it down with dig and dodge every slash, and unsurprisingly, Norman's final Slacking falls thanks to the dig strategy once again, with us breaking its focus punch every time to boot. Am I a little disappointed the dig timing couldn't win alone? Yes, but it still made the fight a lot more consistent, so I'm happy. Now we've got Surf, this opens up tons of items on the map to find. The ones that really matter are 4 more rare candies and the Ice Beam TM in the abandoned ship, though more vitamins in addition to the ones already found are handy too. Good point to discuss those actually. A Pokemon can max out on 510 EVs to boost its stats, which are normally earned in increments by what Pokemon yours gains experience off of, but we won't earn even close to that from all the mandatory battles. Thus, throughout our journey, we'll sell everything we don't need to buy more vitamins, which add 10 EVs to their respective stat. We spend nearly all our money on some vitamins in Slateport Market. I mostly buy proteins for attack, our most valuable stat. Its EVs will go past 100 the quickest, so doing this now is crucial, as vitamins can't be used on stats with 100 or more EVs. With that item preparation done, we press onward. Neither Route 118 nor 119 have any force trainers, showing once again how vast Hoenn is constructed, and how many of its trainers spin, and how a Game Boy Advance screen is 50% wider than the Game Boy's. At the Weather Institute, we have 2 grunts to fight, followed by Admin Shelby. Ruby players face Courtney instead, identical but for wheeling Numel over Carvanha. Now we have other Pokemon, Mighty's Intimidate can be avoided just by switching, so she's no big deal. We get Castform out of this rescue, normally a joke Pokemon stored in millions of virtual PCs the world over, but here, it's actually going to be super useful. First things first, we have our third rival fight. This time, Grovyle outspeeds and finishes Spike in one Leaf Blade. I had a whole strategy plan for learning Ice Beam and equipping the Quick Claw, and trying until we got a 20% Quick Claw activation, and then either a 10% freeze or a 1 in 16 crit on top of that. That has odds of 1 in 32, and we've dealt with much worse. But, since Double Team is already on our moveset, we just use that instead. Our moveset's going to become crammed with HM soon, we don't want to have to learn any TNs before we have to. Brendan's starting Numel is the perfect setup. Since Spike only needs a few hits to finish Grovyle, this only took a few tries, and Wilmer's still a joke. Passive setup foes are rare this run, folks. With the last mandatory rival fight dealt with, we can press on to Fortree, though we duck past it to get a Devon Scope first. Since we could just run from the Kecleon, it's not a battle. Amazingly, Fortree Gym can be left until the game's end. We do beat its 2 required trainers now, but leave Winona, as we have to backtrack multiple times, so we might as well get more levels elsewhere first. Predictably by this point, neither of the next routes have any mandatory trainers either, so straight to Mampire. 3 weak guns provide me anger experience as we witness Team Aqua stealing the Ron Orb. Guess Archie is colorblind. Before storming their Lily Cove hideout, we have to back all the way to Slateport to witness them steal the submarine. No flying here, we have to walk, bike, run and surf everywhere. But with the Route 123 lead shortcut, it's not too bad. After Archie and co nick the submarine, we return to Lily Cove, finally deleting Rock Smash and Spike and storm their hideout. Team Aqua / Magma certainly lacks in security, as we can avoid every trainer in there, even picking up the Master Ball until Admin Matt at the end. Yes, they have bigger fish to fry. Literally, the Sea God Pokemon. Nothing to Matt, his Mighty and a Sharpedo combo is a low enough level. With the Hoenn Ocean open to us now, as you might guess, its vastness means not a single swimming trainer is required. So let's skip to Moss Deep Gym, where only one trainer has to be fought to get to Tate and Liza, the only double battle all game. This is a difficult battle. They may have only 2 Pokemon, but at level 42, Solrock and Lunatone are super strong. Evolving into Swampert would be ideal, but we're 2 levels short, and the Winona fight won't provide enough experience for it. It might help to beat Winona and use a rare candy to evolve into Swampert, but there's reasons for saving them. Castform pays off big time here, as its Rain Dance makes Spike Surf 50% more powerful, but even with that and Surf hitting both foes while leaving allies alone in this gen, the only way to win is for them to use the right moves at the right target every single turn. Lunatone's Psychic always one-shots Spike, and while Solrock's doesn't, its Solar Beam is an instant reset too. Most of the time they either nail us with Psychic, set up Sunny Day, launch Solar Beams, or even occasionally yawn us. Lunatone also has Light Screen, though I never saw it. Lots of chaotic switching and quick resets abound, with most attempts failing turn 1. Eventually, we get this battle. Spike's Quick Claw activation lets him hit before Solrock nearly takes out Castform. Lunatone misses Hypnosis, so we get our Rain Dance set up. Next turn, Castform doesn't last another Psychic from Solrock, and Lunatone knocks Spike to just above red, but Spike retaliates with a Rain Boosted Surf that knocks them both way down. And this time, it's good that Solrock lands in healing range, as that means they heal it rather than attacking, and I knock it back down and finish off Lunatone. That may have been a Quick Claw activation too, don't know if AI Double Valor Healing absorbs one or both of their moves in a turn. We're not in the clear yet, so I switch Spike and sack Wynot. This may seem pointless, but after enough failed attempts, I observed something about which slot they attacked based on the switches. Might be some RNG manipulation, I don't know how it works. Regardless, Solrock attacks Anorith instead, and Spike lands the final blow, netting us a badge through insane luck. The only reason that battle took less time than some others is because of how fast double battles are. My fellow VGC players can attest to this. Honestly, having Swampert instead wouldn't help much, as Spike is still slower, has to hit Surf as many times, and is a 2-shot or 1-shot to their attacks. At this point, there's one last item sweep to do across the ocean, mostly underwater with Dive. Everything other than vitamins is for selling. Following that, we need Strength for the Seafloor Cavern, so one of Spike's moves has to go. Reluctantly, I ditch Dig, as we may need double team still. Much like the Aqua base, no grunts are necessary, just Admin Shelly or Courtney and Ruby, sporting another Sharpedo Mightyena combo. When folks say the Pokemon Magma and Aqua use are severely limited, even for villainous teams, they're kinda right. She's strong enough to require some strategy, but thankfully not double team. As long as Sharpedo doesn't use Crunch twice, it'll fall to Strength. As for Mightyena, what I found was best was to switch to Anorith and lower its defense with Rock Smash. I got it off 3 times, but that's lucky overkill, one won't suffice. Once Anorith falls, Marshtomp can finish it off with a single Strength, as long as Mightyena doesn't use Takedown, doesn't hurt us with Swagger Confusion, or a Quick Claw kicks in. Right before Kyogre, we pick up the Earthquake TM before facing Archie. He's no pushover, but neither is he borderline impossible like he was before. Sacking Wynot to avoid Intimidate helps, and if Mightyena misses and we get off a Charm, all the better. If we're lucky enough to get Confused and Swagger and have our attack raised and break through most times, all the better again. Regardless, Confusion and Mightyana's Takedown end most attempts here, and even worse, it sometimes uses Roar during the latter part of double team setups, switching Spike out and ruining our setup. For both Mightyena and Crobat, we stick to Surf without a Swagger attack boost, or Strength with one. Much like last time, we only fell to Crobat a few times and beat Sharpedo first time, though our better attack power is to credit. Ruby players can possibly brute force their way through Courtney and Maxie without double team, as Camerupt is an instant Surf one-shot and super slow. With that, Spike finally evolves into Swampert, just in time to witness Kyogre's awakening plunge Hoenn into a deluge, forcing us to confront it in Sootopolis. The developers hand yet foolproof making legendaries plot relevant, as we can just run away from Kyogre and Groudon and continue the story. Wish it was mandatory, using a legendary would have been awesome. With Spike's extra power as a Swampert, and with all Sootopolis Gym Trainers skippable by acing the Ice Walking puzzles, we face Wallace's 5 water types. Given that many, it's probably no surprise we opted for double team again. Trust me, with us needing 2 water moves to get inside the gym, we don't have many choices. Luvdisc loves Sweet Kiss, Attract, and Confusion Chance off of Water Pulse, and our luck trying to set up on this thing was abysmal. Spike hits himself in Confusion and got immobilized by Attract far more often than not. Attract especially is deadly, as it doesn't fade until we beat Luvdisc. It gets bad enough that I often opt to take Luvdisc down without maxed out double teams. That's rarely good though, as it often means Wishcast takes us out. Typically if we get past Wishcast, we get past Celio and Seacane to Milotic, but a single move here finishes us every time. It also has the threat of Recover, though I never saw him use it. Regardless, Milotic ends dozens of attempts. Eventually, we get a run where we struggle to Milotic, use a Leopard Berry to restore some strength PP, and hit enough strength to burn through his last Hyper Potion and finish him without it hitting us, netting us Hoenn's final badge. And it only took 39 battles! I'm still flabbergasted at that even now, but the proof lies in us being under level for almost all boss battles. I also realised after the battle that I could have deleted strength back at Lily Cove just for this battle and taught Spike return, doing more damage and making most of Wallace's Pokemon go down on one less hit. Yes, I feel very embarrassed. We still have Winona from earlier, so while picking up the last rare candies and doing one last vitamin conversion, I go fight her. Her Pokemon love Aerial Ace always landing, so double team was never going to work. This is why I left this till now, as Swampert's extra power means we sweep her where Marshtomp fell. The only point at which looking through her earlier may have helped was Spike being a Swampert for Archie. It's so satisfying to pummel a boss trainer in this game after so many gave us serious trouble. With all the badges under our belt, nothing to do but head for Evergrande City. Victory Road's tight tunnels actually contain the most mandatory trainers of any area at 4, alongside wild Pokemon so high level repels don't ward them off. Some trainers cause mild problems, like the first trainer's Roselia, though it oddly uses Giga Drain less frequently if I sack something else first. Similarly, the final trainer's Cacturne one-shot Spike with Needle Arm, but if Castform uses Flash first, which it can learn and helps navigate the cave anyway, then we can get through. This takes far more attempts than is statistically reasonable, but such is life. As for Wally's one shining battle, I gave Spike the Shell Bell made from gathering items in Shoal Cave to recover a little HP after dealing damage. It's no leftovers, but it's the next best thing. Because Altaria likes to spam Aerial Ace, we only set up 3 double teams. Roselia sometimes uses Magical Leaf to bypass accuracy, so best to beat it quickly. A lucky crit does the job. Delcatty has Feint Attack, since Wally really loves accuracy bypassing moves, so best to finish it instantly too. Mangaton finally gives us ample opportunity for the remaining double teams, though it gets in chip damage and paralysis off of Tri-Attack. Gardevoir is what we need a double team for, as its Psychic is too powerful. It uses Future Sight during our first hit, and then lands a Psychic, getting us all the way to a mere 6 HP as we chip it into the red 2. It misses again as we're fully paralysed, just as its Future Sight from before strikes, and misses. Finally, it misses Psychic again, as we land one last Surf, besting Wally and clearing the path to the Pokémon League. Let's look at our stats. They're pretty good, except for that speed. We've been going second a lot, and that's been a serious problem. We're also stuck with Surf, Strength and Waterfall, as we need them to get here, and we've nothing to fly to the move deleter. I had this madcap plan of getting poisoned off of Wally's Roselia's Poison Point ability by hitting it with a contact move, somehow winning the battle, backtracking to Lily Cove and deleting Waterfall, then blacking out and resetting to just before Victory Road. Sadly, while Waterfall isn't required to traverse the cave, it is to avoid an extra trainer. That strategy was very much in the theoretically possible category anyway. So, with 3 of our moves locked down, this is probably going to start out brutal, even if we're hoarding TNs for later. Let's see just how brutal. First up is Dark-type user Sydney, whose Cacturne still necessitates double team. We sack Castform to avoid Madiena's Intimidate, occasionally getting Flash off. Both Sand Attack and Roar are big problems, and though we can take more hits here than with Archie, many attempts end to Roar switching us out. But we can't afford to go through the Cacturne with less than 4 or 5 double teams, as it's a 3-shot, and more if it lands a healing range. He even sometimes switches to Cacturne mid-setup to uproot us. Even after that, there's no guarantee. Between Sharpedo's Swagger and Stone Slash and Surf, Absol's Swords Dance and Aerial Ace combo, and Thrifty having double team itself, because of course it does, they all took out Spike at some point. Eventually, after well over 2 hours, we get past Madiena with 60 health, avoid Cacturne's Needle Arm, and use the final double team against Sharpedo before finishing it, all while recovering health slowly via Shell Bell. Absol fell to 2 Surfs, though not without knocking us down very low through Aerial Ace. Against Thrifty, we hit through its first double team, then it landed an extra sensory, putting us at a mere 6 HP as we hit it again, validating Shell Bell once again. Its next extra sensory thankfully missed as we get through its double team again, landing Strength to finally best Sydney. While it's a real pity that any sturdy grass type basically necessitates double team for poor Spike here, now there's no more, we can implement a real strategy. I didn't use rare candies yet because we needed double team there, but now Spike's level 44, we use them for maximum efficiency, jumping 12 levels during Earthquake, finally ditching double team. Hold on to that moveset change, it's going to be important later. Next is Ghost type user Phoebe, leading with Dusclops. We have to watch for its pressure ability, making our PP delete twice as fast. Honestly, though, I beat her first try. Couple the level boost with Earthquake's 100 base power plus 50% same type attack bonus, and despite me misremembering Dusclops as having Protect instead of Shelgon later and wasting strength on that prediction, which confused Ray allowing it to set up Curse, Earthquake still finished it easily. After switching and sacking Wynot to alleviate Curse, Bayonet, Sableye, and a second Bayonet were all Earthquake one-shots. Her second Dusclops only got off a Shadow Ball before falling to a Surf Earthquake combo that dodged its Citrus Berry activating, despite its sturdy defenses. With how much the extra levels helped, you could argue I should have boosted Spike some levels before Sydney. It might have helped, even if Cacturne would have still ended us on contact, but I didn't, to maximise rare candies on levels that required more experience. That Phoebe fight was perfectly cathartic, so I'd say it worked. We heal before pressing on, as well as using some picked up elixirs to restore Spike's PP. Ice-type user Glacia is a bit tougher. Glalie barely outsped Spike instead of Hail, getting off Ice Speed before it fell to a pair of Surfs. Good thing we have Shell Bell, it largely negates Hail chip damage. Since Glacia's whole team is Hail, there's little point in sacking other team members to stall it out. Foolishly, I used Earthquake first, so Celio landed in healing range and she used full restore before it fell. For a second Celio, as Hail had stopped, I expected her to set up again, but it used Attract. Great, loved it 2.0. It took 2 failed attacks before he knocked it out, during which one of 2 blizzards landed. Just switched to reset it. Strangely, we outsped the second Glalie despite it being 2 levels stronger than the first. Though we unwisely used Earthquake on autopilot, she only got a Hail setup out of it. For a final Pokemon Roll Rain, its Citrus Berry meant it survived a pair of Earthquakes, landing a Blizzard and Body Slam that knocked us down to a mere 2 HP just as the Hail stopped. Had she gone for Blizzard on the second attack and hit, we would have lost. As I thank Shell Bell and the fact that Hail didn't max Blizzard accuracy in Gen 3, Spike delivered the finishing blow. That clutch, intense battle was still the first attempt, folks. Despite a few suboptimal plays, the nature and IV resetting at the start, vitamin planning and rare candy hoarding pulled through that much. All a bit excessive perhaps, but you can't argue the results, even if more optimal plays would have compensated for imperfectations. Sweeping the Elite Four after Sydney feels so good. And it's going to continue, as the moveset plan involves using the saved Ice Beam TN to replace Earthquake for Dragon-type user Drake. Kind of necessary, as nearly his whole team flies or floats, and most resist water moves. Trying to keep double treeing through Phoebe's accuracy evading Goats and Curse, and Glacia's Hail would be a nightmare, but with Ice Beam, he's a complete joke. Shell Bell does well to keep us healthy during the few hits he lands, despite Shelgon's Rock Tomb lowering our speed because I predicted Protect again. In the end, Altaria, both Flygons and Salamence were all one-shots. How often can you say the Elite Four gets almost linearly easier as you progress? With that done, I do one last HP and PP restoration before bringing Earthquake back over Ice Beam with its TM, giving us raw power and a type advantage for the champion. Steven's lead Skarmory can be a problem, as if it uses Toxic it's now impossible to outlast Poison even with clever switching, otherwise it only gets a chip in as 2 water moves finish it. Aggron is a one-shot to trio Spike's moves, but Cradily is a big problem, as its Grass Rock typing means we lack a super effective move. It almost always spams Giga Drain as a 2-shot, and the healing means Earthquake can't 2-shot it. On my second attempt to use Confuse Ray, and instead of being smart and switching so he heals peanuts from Giga Drain and gives us an opening, I try and fail to break through Confusion, leading to another Drain Spike. You may all laugh at me. On my fourth attempt, I get through Skarmory with it only setting up Spikes, followed by atomizing Aggron at Waterfall. Against Cradily, Spike scores a crit with his second Earthquake, taking out his biggest threat. Shell Bell's going to be handy going forward. Surfland's cleared all on the red, but it sets up Light Screen, taking half the special damage as it heals. I try to be smart and sack some Pokemon to stall it, but he sets a Reflect, not what we want to see from Metagross. Quickly calculating the Light Screen Reflect turns, I sack Anorith so when Spike comes back out, Light Screen faded, allowing us to take Claydol out. Against Metagross, I sack Castform to make Reflect expire, and he uses Hyper Beam, costing him a recharge turn and giving Spike a free Earthquake. Given Spike's damage, I can't say if Hyper Beam would have finished us, though he would have survived its other moves. Regardless, its Citrus Berry heal means he doesn't use it full restore, and Spike blasts Metagross away. His final Pokemon, Armaldo, survives Earthquake, but its slash doesn't hurt much. We would have even survived a crit, letting Spike end the prehistoric play Pokemon with one last Earthquake, besting Steven, and the insanity that is the Ruby and Sapphire minimum battles run. What a challenge, folks. Even knowing how open Hoenn was, I'm gobsmacked only 50 battles are mandatory, low enough that victory roads while Pokemon were sometimes stronger than Spike. While I couldn't call this insanely difficult, I think Double Team be required for 6 battles speaks for itself. Don't forget the last rival battle had alternatives. And even before that, Mudslap got us through 4 key battles. Despite all that though, this challenge was a lot of fun. It kept me on my toes constantly, and for as many battles that came down to Mudslap or Double Team, many others came down to skill and strategy. Planning was so crucial for maxing on vitamins, and with limited HM space and no fly Pokemon, I probably spent over an hour on all the backtracking. All 3 other Pokemon played vital roles in battles, from Animate's Rock Smash defense drops, to Castform blinding Cacturne and setting up Rain against Tate and Liza. Even Why Not's charm was helpful, despite not factoring into any victories. And Spike? Spike really proved to be the little mudkip that could, folks. Good thing he remembers to thank his Shell Bell, MVP item there. This journey just had so many memorable moments, from Dig still mattering against Norman, to the Tate and Liza battle, to most of the Elite Four run, and many, many more. Scouring for items across the land meant I really took Hoenn in, so it felt like a true adventure. Would I do it again? No way! Not with all those mud slap and double team battles, but I'm really glad I did. After that, it's tempting to try it in Emerald. Unlike Crystal, it actually differs from its original pair in more than incidental details. However, doing Crystal right after Gold Silver was repetitive to play and to edit, plus there'd still be mud slap and double team battles again. So no, despite the changes, we're not doing Emerald. Instead, for variety, I'm going to jump over to Kanto and do a minimum battles run in Fire Red and Leaf Green. While JRose11 already did an excellent video for this on Red and Blue, the remakes of all the bells and whistles we saw here, from Nature's IVs, EVs and abilities to smarter enemy AI, couple that with all the other remake changes, and they'll probably play out quite differently. That's only the next challenge, of course. If there are other challenges you'd like to see, let me know on Twitter, Facebook, and down below in the comments. Comments do help the YouTube algorithm make the video find its way to more people and ghosts alike, after all. My initial backlog of challenges I want to do is depleting, so I really welcome any and all suggestions. If you want to see more from me, I've done lots of videos on various cartoons, with more to come. Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss anything. You can also check out my Pokemon Challenges playlist if you want to see all the challenges I've already uploaded. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Facebook. I'd love to hear how you found the channel. Thanks a lot for watching the video, and have a corking day. Until next time, folks.